Coming to you from the Oddball Podcast Studios in New York City. My name is Vin Forte, and you're listening to Oddball with Vin Forte. Go follow the show over on social media, on Twitter/X. I don't know, I'm still calling it Twitter. At Mighty Vin and at Oddball Podcast for the show account for all the updates and whatnot there. Over on Instagram at Vin Forte NYC. And yeah, go subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, go subscribe over on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. Well, you can't on Stitcher anymore. As of this past month, I believe they've gone bankrupt. If you have a Stitcher account still for some reason, check your email. They put up a whole notice about it. But yeah, Stitcher's no more, so Google Play? I don't know. Most people just do Apple or Spotify. So if you're not doing one of those two, what are you doing? And if you are doing one of those two, leave a nice rating and review. Leave a nice 5-star rating and a nice review if you would be so kind. It's the least you could do to help out. The other thing you could do is, as of this past month, I'm putting more videos on YouTube and doing whole episodes up on there. So youtube.com/@Oddball Podcast. Go subscribe there. Another great way to help out the show. Okay, big show today. As you can tell by my hat, it's baseball season. Well, I mean, I could be wearing this any time of the year, but whatever. It's baseball season. And we've got someone from the titular, from the site on the hat today. Mr. Malik Wright, who we're going to bring in right now. Malik, how are you, sir?
I'm great, man. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, indeed. But, just to let people know, obviously, as the title, if you're watching on YouTube, suggests, Malik Wright from MLBBro.com. I've talked about MLB Bro before, but in your own words, let people know what MLB Bro is, how you got involved with it. It involves, Rob Parker from FS1, ESPN. Go through the whole spiel about MLB Bro.
Yeah, so appreciate you for having me. Gosh, I met Rob in 2019 in Miami. We exchanged phone numbers at a NABJ convention. And then he came. I'm from Arlington, Texas, born in Kansas, raised in Arlington, Texas. Rob came out here to cover the World Series, Dodgers versus Rays. And I messaged him. I'm like, hey, man, do you want to eat some wings? So he's like, yeah. So we meet up. He tells me this idea he has about Rob's a Hall of Fame baseball writer. I believe he's between numbers 60 and 78. He started off at number 300 for Hall of Fame writers, but he had an idea of wanting to put together a site that solely covered black players throughout baseball. We saw with numbers now, with numbers lower than what they were in the 90s and even from the early 2000s. So it's a collection of, man, we have people based in Atlanta, people based in LA. I'm out here. St. Louis, the DMV area. We're a group of now 60 editors, reporters. We have people who edit our videos, just all different people who come together. And we, like I said, our sole focus is just to spotlight these guys and in every light, what the good and the bad, just the grind through the big leagues that they go through. Fresh information's fresh on the site every day. We're going up with 4 or 5 different pieces, and we're as up to date as it can get.
Yeah, and the thing that always strikes me about MLB Bro is the progress you guys keep making. Because like you said, founded in 2019, then there's a pandemic, so that sets you back a little bit. So really we're talking about probably a time frame shorter than that in reality. And within that time, this happens. You guys very recently just got an official partnership with the MLB. Now, I saw this come out when it did a couple of months ago. And I would say, even to the layperson, like what does that exactly mean for you guys content-wise and just as a pride thing to partner up with the MLB?
Yeah, first off, I mean, I'm extremely thankful. That's a $1 billion corporation. And we're a startup independent website. For them to entrust us and actually be in our partner, they've been watching us since 2019, since the site came out. They've been paying attention to what we've been doing. So to see that they wanted to collaborate with us was great. But they share a lot of our content. A lot of our content will go up on their Instagram. We also get appearances on MLB Network. Rob's on twice a week. He does MLB Central, a hit on MLB Central. He's also on with Mad Dog Russo. MLB Now, I'm sorry. Rob does MLB Now and does a hit with Mad Dog Russo. We have Jalen Gilkey, Gary Sheffield Jr., who've gotten some appearances on the show Off Base. So really just a different collaboration with them. They let us do our thing, and it's, like I said, I'm extremely thankful for it, that we got the opportunity.
Have you seen any of your content go up on MLB.com proper yet?
Oh yeah, I have a Grant Anderson article. He's a pitcher. He's called up probably about 2 months ago. He struck out 7 consecutive batters in his debut against the Tigers. Man, that was late May, June when he did that. Around then, times running together. But he has a twin brother in the minors. He's a former catcher. He didn't start pitching until his sophomore year of college, and now he's one of the guys that the Rangers rely on to be big time. A high five, top fives has been on a few times. So yeah, I've gotten my piece.
Now you mentioned Grant Anderson, and he's certainly a great story going on in the MLB right now, which brings up sort of a bigger, I want to say issue about the MLB right now, but certainly with all the changes with the pitch clock this year, it feels like a big refresh year for the MLB. When I had Rob on, I've had Rob on twice now, and we talked the last time specifically about what the MLB needs to do to not only connect with young people, I think that's a cliche to say, like, oh yeah, we got to connect with young people, just people in general. I don't think the MLB had really done enough to reach out. And I think what you guys do, what some other sites that have popped up do, is really filling a void where there are good stories out there that people need to know about. And unless they hear about them, unless those stories are contextualized, something where, maybe someone's chasing, a record that they're going for that season, or, like you said, someone gets called up and it's a big moment for them and their family and they really make an impact. Like, unless we see those stories, they might as well just be in the wind. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, the stats are important. It is what it is, and you have to answer that. But I know what you're going to tell me when you went 0 for 4. I know you had a solid day when you went 4 for 4, but I know either way you have to show up at the ballpark the next day. So I think something that baseball's got to do first and foremost is promote and market their players. And what I've found out as a guy who's been at the ballparks constantly for the last 3 seasons is these players are willing to share their story and they're willing to talk. It's just the matter of who's going to approach them and just getting an outlet to get it out. Like Mike Trout, I've seen Altuve, endless players, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Mike Trout. All these guys are willing to talk and promote themselves. It's just it's Major League Baseball's job to promote them so we know the player. You walk around the street, everybody knows the Steph Currys, the Giannis Antetokounmpos. It's really true though. A lot of baseball players, Mike Trout, one of the greatest outfielders of our generation, could go sit in can go in the grocery store and you wouldn't even notice who he was. And to me, that's a great thing for him in a privacy standpoint, but just in terms of popularity and the marketing of the game, it needs to be fixed.
Well, there was even a conversation here in New York City a while back when Aaron Judge signed his big deal, where it was like, oh, does this make Aaron Judge one of the most recognizable sports stars in New York history? That he's going to be here long term. He's hit the home run record, the whole thing, and there was actually a little bit of consternation about that, where I think rightfully so. To your point, it's like, if you're not even a casual baseball fan, you couldn't even pick Aaron Judge out of a lineup. Even though like to some baseball fans like that seems insane. You know, non-basketball fans can pick LeBron out of a lineup. They can pick Steph Curry out of a lineup. I don't think they could do it with Aaron Judge. So I think you're right that these stories need to be told so that people can sort of see that the people they follow in baseball not only are chasing these records, chasing goals for the season, but that they've frankly like got a little bit of personality.
Yeah, and I mean, my example is the guy who throws the best pitch, the toughest pitch to hit, the airbender changeup. Devin Williams may be one of the most unrecognizable faces around. But I do think baseball is getting better. There's a lot that they still need to work on, though. I'm not gonna I want to give credit where credit is due, and especially this season, just with the rise in viewership and me even just it's cool to see friends that I never saw pay attention to baseball start paying attention to it, and you're starting to gain popular on the fantasy grounds, even the gambling side, which is everything now, but that's bringing more popularity to the sport.
I was actually going to switch it up to the pitch clock and go, is it a lot of the pitch clocks effect that, okay, the games are faster, people sort of, colloquially, they say, oh, we're actually playing baseball now. Or is it like you brought up, like I think the gambling aspect can't be understated. When you've got, let's say, 16 football games a season, like we know how intense gambling can be for some people, when it comes to football. Same thing with basketball. But when you've got baseball and there's just so many moving parts to it, and there's 160 odd games a season, like I think that opens up a whole new untapped world that we're sort of just now beginning to realize has been opened for MLB.
Yeah, and I was opposed to the pitch clock coming into the season. I didn't
really.
I didn't think it. I was grandpa. I didn't think it was necessary. If people were because just going. I mean, you get a game that drags, of course, where it's 15-3 or something, but you sacrifice seeing a lot of runs. But I've noticed almost no different. It feels no different. I thought that it would affect the actual baseball play, where it'd be more sloppy, but everybody's made the adjustment to it. Of course, most players played in the minor leagues, so they already had to deal with it. But I think the no shift, though, is even bigger than the pitch clock, because now you're actually seeing people be able to get base hits up the middle. Right. You're not seeing three people on one side of the infield, so you're seeing more action. And then the pickoff rules, people are being more aggressive on the bases. Some teams more than others, but you got guys like Ronald Acuna is about to score 60 bases. And then other teams, it can just be an onslaught of steals when you see something. I am interested to see how the clock affects the playoffs, though, just because, I mean, we were used to seeing 3-4 hour game. That Rays Guardians game was like 4 hours last year. Another Astros and Mariners went 18 innings or something, 16 innings. So I want to see what those games are like with the clock, or if they end up adding some time.
Do you think they should have done? Because some people have floated the idea that, okay, you could do the pitch clock for the regular season, but then we take it away during the play. I don't think you do that, because it's like, okay, if this is going to be a thing, we all got to commit to it. Like none of this half, like, okay, we're going to have it in the regular season, we're going to take it away for this slate of games because they're a little more important.
Maybe in the 6th, 7th, or the 7th, 8th, 9th, I'd add like 5 more seconds. No more than like 5 more. Not take it away completely, but I mean these pitchers, and it's hard to hit a baseball, but just showing them some sympathy, man, you don't get time to think. You have to be on point with your catcher every time they hit the button. It's not a lot of time to shake off. You can only step off once. And in the playoffs, and even in the regular season, the way I look at it, every pitch, every at bat, every game counts until it's that game where you're out, or it's that pitch where it doesn't matter. So playoffs, that's tenfold. So like I said, we'll see what Manfred does.
What's your general opinion of Manfred as commissioner? Well, that says it right there. That's
I like what he's done. I like what he's done with the sport. The suspensions are always kind of shaky. Even the punch heard around the world. I thought he might have got a little too much. If you're going to give Jose only 3, I think sometimes his suspensions are out. But he's going to be remembered as the guy who brought in the pitch clock. So just him having that in this new age of baseball right now with so many young players, like this is the beginning. And I think he still has a long ways to go. So he'll be remembered finally. And like I said, I appreciate the collaboration he did. We've talked to him at All-Star games. He's good friends with Rob and J.R. Gamble. So I appreciate him for what he's done. And it's a new age of baseball that he's leading.
Yeah. Now you mentioned in there the Tim Anderson fight from this past week. I only bring it up because I feel like it's a little bit of red meat for some people, where I feel like it's a little bit overblown. There's people out there go, oh, well, this ruins Tim Anderson's career. He's going to be remembered for this forever. And it's like I read the opinions before I saw the actual clip. And when I saw the clip, I was like, yeah, he got clocked. There's no two ways about it. But it also looked like he just kind of fell backwards. Like it didn't seem like it wasn't like, oh, he got pummeled. Oh, they couldn't get the other guy off him. Like, how do you think this impacts Tim Anderson's career? Do you think it's a little too overblown? People are making too much about it, like kind of typical social media kind of thing.
Yeah, now I don't want to underblow it because it was crazy to see. It was like
it's still a fist fight.
Sports, in just sports, period, just to see something like that happen. But in baseball, where two dudes just square off like that, so it's gonna be we're in the social media age. It's gonna be around for a while. In his career, now I think he's got to do some work. I still believe in Tim. I still trust in Tim, but he doesn't have a lot of power right now, and his average is 214, 220s, 240. I'm sorry. For him to not have any power and only to be hitting singles, he needs to raise his average. He's a batting champion. This is the only year where he hasn't hit 300. So he's got to get back to him. I don't think he can do it in Chicago, though. I think that fight shows all the culture that they have. Just for nobody to have his back at all. I understand, like, whoa, I guess that was the end of it. But, man, I couldn't imagine just watching your teammate go down like that and not one person really bats an eye about it. It was their reaction kind of told me everything I needed to know. And everybody starts talking whenever you leave. They talk about locker room camaraderie and all the Yankees, the new Yankee and Middleton and Lance Lynn, their comments come out too, but they asked them how it was. And they didn't tell those two didn't tell any lies. And what you see right there, you see there's just disconnect there. So I think if he can get out of Chicago, get in a good situation, he had some personal stuff going on earlier in this offseason. Chicago is bad. Get out the AL Central, Tim. Get to a full. I want to see him in Toronto. And another thing, just going back, man, just personally for him, I'm sure he thought he was going to get traded last trade deadline.
Yeah,
we're up to he's hearing it in his ear. The White Sox are losing. He's like, man, I know you guys don't want me, but he's a valuable commodity too. So I could see he has a team option coming up this year. So it's may not be his decision whether he can leave or not, but you got to think, man, he could have been anywhere else in the world, but Saturday night, it was just bad timing.
Well, that's the most interesting. You brought up a really interesting point about the team culture, and not just the culture, but usually before we even see these sorts of brawls pop off, the dugout's clear. You always see, like, oh, you're going to go after it. Well, we're all coming after you now. And it never really gets to like a full-on one-on-one fight because eventually it's just a big bench-clearing brawl and sort of everyone gets a little bit involved. But you're right. Like, we didn't see that with the White Sox. Like, that's a really fascinating point.
Yeah, it was. it was old West style, the way they dropped their gloves and how quick it happened, and just the animosity. I think there's been a lot of animosity between the two teams, of course, being division rivals. One, White Sox won the division a few years ago. Guardians have got the last few. Guardians told the Sox "F you" last season. So, and then Tim Anderson the night before was chirping at their second baseman throughout the game. So, and that's one of the I'm assuming that everything just sort of boiled over. But yeah, I mean, I know Big Josh Naylor's coming out, but my goodness, Kopech, you can't even toss Ramirez down, and even you could have gone and ran back behind your troops after that. But I mean, there's been a lot going on in that year. And it doesn't surprise me from a team that hired the drunk LaRussa at the time. But I mean, even he couldn't save it, and I hate it because how the White Sox were cool. Tim Anderson's the guy who he made bat flips cool. He made let the kids play. He's the reason why people are showing out after they can hit a home run. He got literally suspended for that. So I hope he bounces back. That's what I remember TA for. He's still got a long way to go, but I always remember him for being that original bat flip guy. That Field of Dreams game was special, and he has a superstar in it. He's still young. He started playing baseball his senior year of high school. Senior year of high school, he started playing baseball. So he's still got a lot about the game to learn.
Yeah, that still is they've only done a couple, but that Field of Dreams game where he had the home that's still the best one, because you're right. He shows personality. He tells you how he feels. And going back to like the bat flip stuff, I always laughed at the bat flip stuff because at the time when everyone was doing it, I'm gonna be honest, I had never really seen it because people were just kind of talking about it. And then once they were talking about it, before I had seen it, the way they were talking about it made it seem like you hit a home run and then you like fling your bat into the crowd and oh my God, it's gonna hit a baby in the face. It's like, and then I finally saw it. It was just like a little boop, little just like toss the bat a little bit. It was nothing.
It speaks volumes, though, man. It's one of my favorite things to watch. Like even after Jose Bautista, when he got the Rangers for that legendary home run a few years ago, that was the first thing I noticed. I looked at my roommate. I was like, man, he flipped the shit out of that bat. I was like, good Lord. But it was crazy. And I mean, I get to see Adolis Garcia. He's one of the best home run hitters. But man, there have been some good ones. Juan Soto had the one where he walks the bat all the way down to base, and then Bregman does the same thing, goes even farther. So it's little petty stuff now. But of course, on the other side now, you get pitchers who strike you out, and they'll let you hear about it, and you can't do anything about it now. When you're the hitter, and it's a tough sport, you're going to go down 7 out of 10 times, so they're going to let you know about it a lot. But save up for that one time you get them and make your bat flip count.
But you're right. Like that's the stuff I want to see, though. Like that's the stuff that, because like you got a rivalry going 1-on-1 with someone on another team. That's gonna play out again over like 160 games. Like that's something to look forward to. And then you add all that up, and it makes for compelling TV. And especially with the bat flip stuff. He said like rocking the cradle as you're running the bases. It sort of speaks to this divide that I think is still unfortunately going on, where there's a generation of people out there, a little older, who see baseball as this like Ken Burns, sepia toned, like, oh, I'm gonna play catch with my dad in the backyard. And it's like, no, like you can be Tim Anderson and have a little more personality. You can be someone who wants to show out and go, no, I'm the best. Like, put a little pro wrestling in it. Like, cut a promo on someone. Like, why not?
Oh yeah, you see all these closer intro videos. They look like The Undertaker and Batista. Literally, Felix Batista looks like Batista when he gets to come out the dugout. But there's less. You're seeing less and less and less of that. again, I understand the old heads a little because at the end of the day, I'm the same way. You can do your bat flips and you can do all that, but you better get the out and you better win the game at the end, because at the end, then it was all for naught. So and make sure that ball gets out when you do your bat flip, please, because that's the most embarrassing thing when a guy think he pimps one, slams the bat, and it's a long single, and then they strike out the next time up.
Now I want to switch gears a little bit, going back to MLB Bro and what you do and the content you put out. And last month, you were at the All-Star game. Tell me a little bit about that. What was that like?
Oh, so that was my second All-Star game. I was at the last seasons in Los Angeles, but Seattle was a great city. I had never been before. Goodness, it was just being out in Arlington, Texas. I'm covering the Rangers closely, so to see 8 of them out there, 6 starters, was great. We had Marcus, Mookie in the game, and then one of our guys, Josiah Gray, who's one of my favorite pitchers. He was traded from Mookie's Dodgers in the Max Scherzer trade to the Nationals. He made the All-Star team. So it's always fun at the All-Star game. You see different legends. You get to experience the city. This is my 3rd interview with Mookie. He's a cool guy. He's one of the guys that he really cares about. He wants more African Americans, more minorities to be at these baseball games, to be interested in baseball. He's one of the best athletes in sports himself. Rob called him the MVP a few days ago. And I mean, it's crazy, but I mean, you got to look at it. The Dodgers lost 2 shortstops and a 3rd baseman coming into the season. Mookie's the best shortstop on their team, and he's a Gold Glove right fielder who can also play second base, and you could have him in center field or left field if he pleases. So he's just very versatile, great guy, a great interview. I loved everything about All-Star Weekend, but my only complaint, we need to move it to Saturday, Sunday, at least Sunday, Monday, because it's no weekend if the game is on a Tuesday and the derby's on a Monday. You don't get to experience the city. I feel like the city itself, those people have work the next day. So, and I know baseball, the culture, there's nothing on TV that major during that time. You could take that weekend prime slot. You could take that Sunday night, which I think Sunday night's a great night for the derby. That's Sunday night baseball has always been my favorite thing, relaxing type thing. But I think we move it to weekends. I'll love it every time. And then next season I'll be out there again. It's in Arlington, Texas in 2024. So I'm looking forward to another one.
Has MLB actually given a reason for why it wasn't on a weekend? Because, like you said, it's pretty free and clear. Like, it's no football there's nothing competing with it.
No, and it's a question that posed to me because we were in Seattle and we went out to see if anybody was downtown at any bars or what was going on. And there was nothing going on. And it's not. I'm not looking to pop bottles or nothing. But
yeah, you're not looking to roll up to Magic City or something.
Yeah, it was later, but there's nothing really going on out there, and I'm with my partner Dante, and we're like, man, this is boring. This is regular role. Like, we went to the game. We just went to see a game with the greatest players ever and a batting practice with the greatest players ever. So I'm gonna find that out. We're ask Manfred that.
I would love to know the answer, because again, like Tuesday night, I remember the All-Star game happened, and I was just like, oh, okay, cool. I got to go to bed. Like, I can't be up watching an All-Star game right now.
Yeah, so do we.
But obviously, we're coming up to the back half, fully in the back half of the season right now. I'm in New York. There's really no New York team having fun this year. Who's got the better outlook? I'm a Mets fan, but even with that bias, I think the Mets very recently made the right move in just pulling the trigger, draining this season out, and being like, we are going to put it all into the farm system. we're going to reload and hopefully be the Orioles in a couple of years?
A better outlook. I'm going to go with the Mets right now. I don't think the Yankees added enough during the offseason coming into the season. I felt like Aaron Judge's 62 home runs in the crazy season he had carried their offense. They needed more around him, and they didn't go get more around him. They didn't get more around him in the trade deadline. So I'm going to have to watch them shed that money. And, I mean, the Mets at least ate money. I know they paid Verlander to leave, but and you guys got a stud in Luis Acuna. He'll be terrorizing the AL East hopefully in the next year. So I don't understand how he couldn't get a call up with the Rangers, and he's hitting over 250. He has 30 plus steals, 10 home runs. He's a beast. So you got a good piece. The Yankees are just I want to see what they got. A Josh Donaldson still under contract. They're getting older. Rizzo, what's he gonna be like after the concussion? And then what do they do with Aaron Boone, who I think he's on his last limbs with all these ejections? So I say the Mets. You got a few more pieces. Now, what do you do with Pete? What do you do? You still have Lindor. You got Beatty, Alvarez. But I think that's going to be the biggest question in the offseason, though, is I know he said they're not spending money, but do you take the shot? I know the Braves are tough and the Marlins too, but you could get some pieces for Pete Alonso, but he's a beast in his own right. So that'll be interesting to see. But I'll go with the Mets.
Yeah, the Alonso question is going to be interesting because when his deal comes up, it's like, does he want to wait around for a couple of years? And then if it doesn't pan out, it's like, well, I've wasted 2 to 3 extra years I need to. Or are they going to entice him to roll the dice? And okay, when we get to 2025, 2026, that everything's going to click into place. There's no guarantee. They're making, I think, the better of the moves they could have made, but there's still no guarantee that what they're going to do is going to be what they need to do. Yeah,
and I mean, you got to see what price is Pete Alonso's price going to be
right
at its max this season. I got to check. Off my head, I can't remember NL's home run leader, but I know he's up there in the NL leaders for home runs. The average not too much. So I wonder, you'd be betting on yourself next year, even if you're solid and the team is bad next season. If you can earn your way, but do the Mets see? Are they getting enough back for Pete? Are they getting a guy like Luis Acuna Jr. Or should they just ride out Pete and have him be one of the great Mets in history? I think a guy like that, he's going to be stable, and Pete works hard for sure. He'd be a great DH. You're not going to get many DHs from him, so I'm not saying get rid of him, and you still have Lindor, so you got to compete. But it'll baseball off seasons get interesting, and I don't believe him when he says he's not spending money this off season.
No, that was a bold-faced lie. I did not believe that. You're telling me if the Angels called the second the offseason, it's go, listen, we want to make a deal for Ohtani. He's not going to listen? Steve Cohen, the multi-time billionaire?
Oh, yeah. Just got to – whoever. I think it's going to be 28 teams, 27 teams. 28 teams calling Ohtani. If you're not Kansas City Royals or you're not Oakland, then I think you need to get him and offer him whatever he wants for a blank check, whether it be New York. But it's ultimately where he wants to go. I know he might have the idea on it, but a little convincing goes a long way. He hasn't seen a lot of the states, honestly, so he doesn't know the culture of some cities as opposed to others he's been in. So a little recruiting.
The Angels are attempting to keep him right now, but I feel like it's a little too late. Like, you're trying now in like the fourth quarter. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, it was just the return on investment. Who knows what would have been enough? And something about prospects, some pan out, but a lot of these mega deals, not all 6 are going to be your major league on your major league lineup in 2 years. It's not a guarantee. So I think they made the right move. They're just they should have got more pitching. I like the Angels lineup, but when a guy like Taylor Ward gets hit in the face, and that just sort of sucks the life out of them, and they're playing some good teams too. losing to Seattle, and sadly their series could be over, or their season could feel like it's over next weekend, with them playing Houston this weekend, and then they come to Arlington to face the Rangers for 3. They're already down bad, and they could get pummeled quick. But they added C.J. Cron, I think he's one of the best adds at the deadline. They made the play for Moustakis earlier. I wish they got TA. They got some good young pieces, so they can hit. But, man, just the pitching, I don't know. And Ohtani himself, he's been reeling with a little bit of injury issues too this year.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I'm going to let you go in a moment. Don't want to keep you too long, but who do you think's going to the World Series this year? Who's your pick? I got my finger on the DraftKings button right now. Who am I betting?
The Braves and the Texas Rangers. No homerism because they have to. The Rangers have to beat the Astros, and the Astros are the big dog. I think if the Rangers can have home field, there's a chance they beat the Astros. It's in Houston. If Houston has home field and is the Rangers are the wild card, I think they go down. I think the Rangers, that's too much to go to Houston and beat them. I think they make it out the AL. The NL, it's a battle between the Braves and the Dodgers, and they're both super. I think the ads that the Dodgers made at the trade deadline, getting some of those bats in and resurging some of those vets. You got Jason Hayward, Ahmed, Rosario, Kike as bench players. So you're not Outman's good, Mookie's Mookie, and you have 2 MVPs. I think those two are going to crash with each other. That Atlanta Braves lineup is deep. Literally the best I call him the best nine-hole hitter in MLB history, Michael Harris, because every other team he's batting second or third. You have Acuna. Olsen's going to hit 150 RBIs. Austin Riley's near MVP every year. I think it's just too much for the Braves. So I'm going to call Texas Rangers, Atlanta Braves, or we get the Braves Astros rematch.
All right. Very nice. I'll put that in and see if I make some money in a couple months.
Oh, yeah.
But you say I will?
Oh yeah. Man, the Rangers, I think them, just speaking on them, they've been without Seager, they've been without Jonah Heim, who will be back soon. Now they'll be without Josh Jung, Uvalde's out, DeGrom's out. I think that move that they made to get Max Scherzer saved them, because now you have that bona fide ace that can take you.
But Scherzer in the playoffs, though, hasn't really performed as well, though.
Oh yeah, and that's not a guarantee either. But I think just the confidence that he gives the team, a lot of the moves that Chris Young have made, and to get Bruce Bochy just from last season to this season, just speaking on, and getting to pick Marcus Simeon's brain, which is something that I've been appreciative since he's been in Texas. He said, man, we need pitching. They told me we were going to add pitching. They told me we were going to add good coaching. They've done everything, and the team follows his leadership. You got Nate Lowe, Silver Slugger, one of the most underrated hitters in the game. Travis Jankowski, a former first-round pick, he was a platoon player. Bochy took a shot on him. And then you get prospects like Ezekiel Duran, Leody Taveras, and Josh Jung to pan out. They're just the depth in that lineup. And then with Aroldis Chat, the bullpen's the one question, but every team has bullpen issues. They're settling in. They're finding their roles. I wish they would stop with the punt lineups. Corey Seager is a grown man. He needs to play every day. You have to have that thread in the lineup every day. So, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised, though, with the problems in the Rangers bullpen, that they could drop. They haven't yet, but they could go on a losing streak. And a team like Houston, who I think they're the best team in baseball, and you have Jordan, and you have Kyle Tucker, you add Justin Verlander, Framber's untouchable, even though the Rangers got to him. Framber's tough. They're just as tough, but a team like Houston can win 4 or 5 straight and overtake the Rangers just like that. So I think it comes down to who wins the AL West.
you go. You heard it here first. Malik Wright, MLBBro.com. Let people know where to find you, all the social medias, obviously, your content on MLB Bro. Let them know what articles you got coming out soon.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, _TeamMill, MILL. Got the High Five coming out every week. It comes out every Friday. This week, who's my order? Michael Harris, Mookie Betts, Marcus Semien, JP Crawford, Josh Bell, guys that we gave shout outs to. Angels in town, Brewers next week. So some Devin Williams stuff coming out, Tyrone Taylor, and then just another catch up and check in with the captain, Marcus Semien, will be coming out soon. But yeah, check out mine and everybody else's content on MLBBro.com and follow me on social media platforms at _TeamMill.
There you go. Thank you so much for taking some time out today.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we're going to wrap up here, but I'm going to put you in the box for a moment while I do some housekeeping. Like the man said, go follow him. Why not? Go follow MLBBro.com for all of your baseball needs. And like we were talking about before, the partnership with MLB Proper, you can see their content on MLB.com as well. So go check all of that out. And if you like this episode, go subscribe over on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. You know where to get your podcasts from. So you're listening to one right now. And go subscribe for the video version of this episode if you're only listening to it over on youtube.com /@Oddball Podcast. That's youtube.com /@Oddball Podcast. Follow me on social media @Oddball Podcast and @Mighty Vin over on Twitter, @Vin Forte NYC over on Instagram. And with all that said, I'll see you back here, same time, same place next week. You're listening to Oddball with Vin Forte. My name is Vin Forte. Thank you once again to Malik Wright from MLBBro.com. I'll see you next week.